When you hear the boss say migration, every experienced admin feels like a knot in their stomach because you know what's really coming. Long hours, broken configs, and a lot of grumpy users. In short, a real nightmare. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'll show you how to migrate everything in bulk, fast and easy, without having to rebuild everything from scratch. All this is possible thanks to a new feature in Nerdio Manager for bulk migrations. Just go to your AVD host pools and then to your hosts. Select all of the hosts that you want all at once, which can be from 1 to 100, and then under the bulk actions here, choose to migrate to Windows 365. Select your provisioning policies or just create a new one. And then on the next screen, select your user settings or create a new one of those. For licensing though, you will need to have bought enough licenses already to cover all of the machines you want to move. And we're going to validate that so that you don't start a doomed migration and waste your time. And that happens when you pick your group, and then the license validation is here at the bottom. Because every cloud PC must have a user assigned to it or it gets deleted. On the next page, you can set any of the notifications that you want, and then we have the new bulk feature. You just pick your batch size, and the default is actually 5 machines at one time, but you can adjust that from 100 all the way down to 1, as well as how many failures are allowed before the job is just abandoned. Then you just click next and review the job, and you can see right here, this machine can't move because there's no one assigned to it on the AVD side. So you just readjust things and kick it off. Sounds pretty easy, right? So let's do something a lot harder. A full Citrix or Omnissa migration will have a lot of steps to it. And if your legacy VDI environment is already running up in Azure, then you should reuse what you already have, right? In Nerdio, go to the migration section and then to the source list. And all these VMs are pulled from the linked resource groups, which you can find by going down to Settings on the left and then Environments, and going to the Azure tab and the linked resource groups. If what you need isn't here, just click Link and then select it from the dropdown and click OK. Back in the Migrate sources, check all of the box for those hosts that you want to better understand, and then click the Discover button. This detects things like their join type and what users are assigned and all of the metrics behind the machines, so you're not guessing about anything. Then you just click New Migration, pick your target as AVD or Win365, confirm all your options, and just kick off the migration. And the legacy agents are going to get removed out of all of those hosts, and then they'll be joined to the AVD host pool or converted into Win365 Cloud PCs. So you don't have to recreate any of your desktops or remote applications. You're just migrating everything that's already running and let Nerdio do all the heavy lifting, which saves you time and money. Now, no VDI migration would ever be complete without your custom images. And it's probably taken you years to get them just perfect. So don't throw them away. Migrate them. And the easiest way is to deploy a new VM from your image, just like another Azure VM. And depending on where you have your image stored, it would be a little bit different. Some people are already using the Azure Compute Gallery for this. Others just replicate a VHD or use some kind of external solution. So just build a VM in Azure however you need to. Then back in Nerdio, go to your desktop images and click New from Azure VM. Give it a name and a description, and then we need this SAS URL thing. Well, you can find that over here in the Azure portal. You just go to your VM and make sure that it's deallocated first, otherwise we won't be able to do this. Then go to the disks, click on your OS disk, and then on the left click Export Disk, and then you just click Generate. That'll take a second, and then you copy the URL, and then you paste it right here. Then you just select the network and subnet where your imaging VM will live, and then what OS version it has, along with the VM size and the OS disk and the resource group. Then you scroll down. Since this VM came from another VDI solution, you want to check this box to remove any of those other agents, and then we do want to leave it on Gen 2 and security as standard, because that gives us the most flexibility going forward. Then scroll down. Now for your images, I generally don't recommend having them joined to your domain, but because this is just a virtual machine, You can do that if something in your setup requires it. But by leaving it off, we do have more options during deployment time. And these defaults here are all fine too. Now, if FSLogix was used as your user profile solution, then I do suggest you uninstall it because Nerdio will install the latest version when we need to actually use it. And optionally, you can add your app attach certs if that's something that you plan on using, or AppV. And then I would definitely check this box to optimize your disk type. Now what that means is while the VM is running and doing its thing, it'll be a premium SSD, but then when the VM is powered off, the disk will be converted into a hard drive, which is a whole lot cheaper. The boot diagnostics and encryptions are just fine the way that they are, and then there is custom credentials. Now your VM already has a local admin account set up, but this way you can update that username and password to be something else, maybe more standard across your environment. Next, we have how Azure is going to store the OS, and this can be done in a few ways. The best way is generally the Azure Compute Gallery, where you get an image definition, which is kind of like a wrapper, and then you get image versions. Now, along with this feature, you get the ability to replicate your OS image across multiple regions. And we're going to need that since our host pools are spread out all over the world. Additionally, you can have multiple replicas in each region. And that's important because in Azure, using custom images, you can only deploy 20 virtual machines at a time from any single image. So if you needed to build 100 VMs at once, you need 5 replicas. And next we have some add-ons for your image. Scripted actions are about 100 different PowerShell scripts that you can pick from to do all kinds of stuff. So you'll want to look through that list a little more carefully. Then there's app management. And here's where you can pull apps from different areas of Nerdio or from Winget and then pipe them into your image. And if you haven't set this up yet, you'll want to uncheck the favorites button here, otherwise you won't be able to find anything. Then you just type what you want, and then if you want to add more than one, click right over there to add a second one, search for it, and there you go. Finally, we have tags, which you can also set up in Nerdio to be bundled together like this, and then you get everything that you want. And that just keeps things well organized. Then you just click OK. Now you can monitor the progress here in the tasks, and that'll go through every step so you know what's going on. And then when it's done, your VM will be created from your Citrix image. So now you can just go to your workspace and then to your Citrix migration host pool, click the 3 dots, go to hosts, add new, and then scroll down just a little bit for the images here. Then select it from the dropdown, and there you go. Which just leaves us with one more scenario. What if I don't have anything in Azure yet? How would that work? Well, you do need to do a few things to prep, like setting up Entra ID and your identity security schemes, along with your cloud networks. Then we have your OS image. Now, if you're running Citrix, maybe you're running it in VMware. So for that, you'd have to power up your VM template as a virtual machine, do a whole bunch of things to it that are covered in this docs, which are all linked in the video description. And then you run sysprep. Convert that from a VMDK to a fixed size VHD. Then you upload that VHD to an Azure storage account like this. Then we need an Azure Compute Gallery with an image definition already created. Then you click up here and add a new image version. And the important part is to switch your source to a storage blob VHD, browse for your disk, and there you go, and now you just complete the rest of the setup. Then back in Nerdio, all you have to do is go back to your host pool and add a new host just like before, and the Compute Gallery images will be listed at the very bottom. So now we can build all of our new pools. That just leaves your existing hosts and VDAs that are running on-prem or in AWS or whatever. And for that, we're going to need a little help from Azure Migrate. And this is an appliance that can be deployed into any environment anywhere, and it'll scan and discover your existing systems. And then it'll give you an analysis about all of them, down to the suggested VM size based on its real-world usage, along with the cost parameters that you can define and tweak so that everything is exactly the way you want it. Then Azure Migrate will replicate all of those systems up into Azure, and then you can do a cutover whenever you're ready. The systems on-prem will get automatically shut off. The ones up in the cloud will be turned on. And once all of that is up in Azure, you just link the resource group, just like before if you need to. You go back into Nerdio, go to Migrate, Sources, click Discover. You'll find all of those new VMs and just start a new migration like we did at the beginning. Bring them into AVD or Windows 365. But did you know that there are two things that kill VDI migrations before they can even get started? Peripherals and printing. Thankfully, we've got the solution you need right here.